15th day of the Golden Quill Month, which means we are officially halfway through our creative month. And my apologies for the delay, I totally forgot to press go live. So, we're live, or let me check that just to be sure. I mean, the streaming can go wonky sometimes. Yes, perfect. We're live and everything is working. Or at least I think it is. So, yeah, here we go. So, 15th day of the month, creativity is central this month. And I have to say, I'm pretty satisfied with the results up until today. Well, and including today, I should say, because I did a little bit of thinking already this morning and this afternoon earlier with Tisha's live stream. So, yeah, it's the Go Fly story is, I won't say flying in a straight line, but it's flying, and that's good. I'm still surprised by some characters, by what they do, and who they tell me they are. We'll need to work on that. I might have to have a sit down with one of the characters, but you know what? That's fine. That's all part of the writing process, part of my writing process, I should say. So I'll deal with it at some point before I publish this short story, anyways. Oh, for those who don't know me, my name is Ilse. I am a magic-wielding dragon companion and creator of worlds. And Go Fly takes place in one of the worlds I created, Taganay. And Taganay is the world I created for the main book series, Taganay Chronicles. And that's not the only book series I will be writing in that world. In Taganay, there will be more series that I have planned already, and this short story, and there might be another short story or two. I'll see about that. So it's all fun. Today I'm going to work on another chapter in the Go Fly story, and I already wrote down some key things for myself because I needed to keep those things in mind while writing this story, and I wrote these things down yesterday so that I wouldn't forget them, because I did some research as well yesterday after the stream, because there were some technical details that I needed to know, and it's not always easy to get the specific information that you need, but also to make it work in your own world and make it work for example, the event that you want to use it in. And I still need to think about a few things, but I think that I have most things relatively worked out. Relatively completely worked out, I mean. With the research I did yesterday evening. So I'll see how it goes when I'm writing this chapter. It's gonna be a challenge, but I like that. That's all fine. So yeah, and this morning, I mean, I've had a weird morning. I slept really deep last night, so that was perfect. I woke up at, I think, 5 a.m. my time, and I was like, why am I awake? So I went down and just sat down for a little while, and then I went back up and got back to sleep and slept for another 3 or 4 hours. No idea why I woke up, but that's fine. But maybe it had to do with my electric kettle. And you may ask, what does your sleep have to do with your electric kettle? Well, and that's something you will find in Terne Chronicles in this whole world. Sometimes you have things you do instinctively, or that your body or mind knows subconsciously before you know it yourself. I mean, when I woke up bright and early this morning, there was nothing going on. Everything seemed all right. But when I woke up several hours later again, everything was still all right until I made tea, and everything was cooking. Everything was good, and the water was boiled. Perfect, you think? I lift the kettle and I'm like, that's not good. There was water under the kettle. And I was like, but with an electric kettle, water underneath close to the electric parts where you put the kettle on and then the connection is being made. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna throw away the kettle, and I unplugged the loader device and cleaned everything, and I was like, okay, now I need a new kettle. So yeah, I ordered one. So I think somehow I have felt that. I don't know exactly, but when you have that feeling in your stomach that something's not right or something is off, but you can't put your finger on it. And maybe that was a similar thing this morning. I woke up and I mean everything seemed alright, and nothing was out of place, and there were no weird smells or anything that would tell you that something is wrong with an electric device. But in the end, that electric kettle was broken. So I don't know. Maybe in some way I felt it. And in Terne, people can also feel things. The magic is really strong in Terne, but also the presence of the deities can be felt and can be heard in some instances. Rare instances where it's heard, but sometimes that happens. So it's a whole different world. People are far more instinctive and closer to nature. Not because they are closer to nature, and that helps them feel things. Also the common people, not only people who have magic, but also the common people. They feel things sometimes, not always, but sometimes, and then they're like, I don't want to go there. That feels off. I mean, it might be in the middle of the day, the sun might be shining, the skies might be blue, and at the same time someone might have something like, you know what? I don't want to go there. It doesn't feel right. And that's that instinct that people have, and I think loads of you can relate to that. I mean, especially women in dark places. A few weeks ago or a few days ago, I don't remember, doesn't matter. Here in the Netherlands, there was I think a research or whatever that was published. And it showed that women in particular feel unsafe in dark places, and even just walking from your office building to your car, for example, or from the shop to your car while it's dark outside. And right now I live in the Northern Hemisphere, and about around 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m., it's dark here. And I mean, it's not like twilight. No, it's dark. Night has started. And you see or you feel that people are a bit different, and that research also showed that women will keep their keys in certain ways in their hand, for example, and they will check their surroundings more and in a different way. And I think that goes for everyone who feels themselves a little bit vulnerable, not only women. But it was specifically, this research was specifically done with women. So that was the result, of course. And it's that, how shall I say that? It's that feeling that you have deep down, that you have to be, you have to be, it's not just that you have to be careful, it's so much more than that. And I mean, we feel that here just north in our present day life, and that is something that people in Terganay feel as well, although they have different kinds of dangers to work with and to especially also deal with. And that the fact that they are closer to nature, that they have a different bond in that way, with nature, with the deities, with basically everything. It makes it that they might react in a different way. They might have different customs. They might have talismans. I mean, that's something people often now regard as just a superstitious thing. But back in the days, in, for example, Roman days, and I mean, just take any day of the last several thousand years, and before, talismans and altars with little figurines and things like that were normal for people to have, to pray to for blessings and such, but also to keep safe, or to stay safe, I should say, or to keep their household safe, to keep their family safe, to keep their belongings safe, basically anything, to wish somebody a good journey, or, you know, all things like that. And that's something we don't have in the same way right now, nowadays, as we as a people, as humanity, as we had several thousand years ago, or tens of thousands of years ago. And that's what makes a huge difference. And in Terganay, you will see that people do have talismans. They do have small altars or loads of temples they go pray to, and many more things, like little dolls that for the children, or that will give them that piece of security, and that even actually might offer some security. But that's something you may find out in the main chronicles. So yeah, it's I like it that Terganay is like that there are so many things that people can use. And in Terganay, it's not regarded as superstitious because it's part of the world. It's what makes Terganay a thriving world, and what makes the people believe. And yeah, I like that. So let's get into our creative session of the day. 60 minutes on the clock. And oh, before I forget, if you want, or if you'd like to spar about your ideas and get feedback on your ideas, or just talk about hurdles or milestones you've achieved, feel free to join our Fantasy Tavern Discord. And during our Golden Quill months, we are there, but also outside the Golden Quill months, and that's when we do the Silver Ink months. So basically, we just have the writing process covered every day of the year. But with the Golden Quill months, we do it a little bit differently. Like with the live streams right now, and we celebrate basically everything. And during the Golden Quill months, we set goals for ourselves, but it's also not a community event. It's more an event for yourself. While the Golden Quill month is really a more of a community event, and the Golden Quill month is something we do 4 times a year, and that's January, April, September, and November, which is now. So let's get into our 15th creative session of this month. I wish you all a lot of fun, and let's get started. Have fun. that is the end of our creative session of today. How did it go for you guys? I have to say, I have to be honest, it wasn't that easy today. Because I had I wouldn't say the problem, but it was a challenge. Because I need to make sure that a certain amount of time has passed before the next chapter begins. And I needed a long time to figure out how I was going to do that exactly. I'm still not quite sure, but I may have found a way. And I'm going to try that out. And it's I can't tell you guys yet why it's important that this certain amount of time has passed. I can only tell you that I need it to have passed before the next chapter begins. I'm speaking in riddles, I realize that, but yeah, that's also what makes it not that easy for me. But it's all part of the process. I don't mind. It's okay. It's how shall I say that? Sometimes you need to, in your story, you need to make sure that something can actually happen, and you need to create the time for that to be able to happen. For that something to be able to happen. And that is what I needed to do in this chapter that I'm currently writing. And it's a challenge. But it took me quite a while to figure it out. Because I needed a smooth transition from the previous chapter that essentially needed to just go on, but from a different point of view. And so I had, the previous chapter was Nejat's point of view, and this chapter is Seamys' point of view. So that, but I should say despite the POV change, the story is supposed to just flow from, well, it's also supposed to flow, but in this case it can flow as if it's not as if it is connected. It is there's no time difference between the previous chapter and this chapter that I'm writing, but there needs to be that time difference between this chapter and the next chapter. So yeah, that's not the easiest thing. I mean, if I can just write without that time gap, that's okay. But in this case, I can't write it without that time gap. I need that time gap. So yeah, it's a challenge. I'll see how it works out with what I came up, because I'm not quite certain this is the solution. But at the same time, it might give some extra information to to Seamys and Finlay, who are both in this chapter. That, how shall I say this without giving you spoilers? Let's think. The solution I found could be good for various reasons. It can give Seamys and Finlay a hint of what's to come. It can help with crossing that time gap. And well, that's it. I hope the solution is enough for that. So yeah, that's something I will need to figure out. Hi, JC Fabulous. Welcome in, welcome in. Well, I was just telling that I had a bit of a problem with this particular session that I just finished, because I needed to create a time gap between the previous chapter and the chapter that will come after the chapter that I'm writing right now. And I didn't quite know how to do that. I just know that I need that time gap for things to be able to happen in the next chapter. And that's not easy. It's not easy. It's a challenge. But yeah, I may have found the solution. I'm not quite sure. But like I said, the solution I found will give Seamys and Finlay a possible hint of what's to come, both in this chapter, but also in the next chapter. And it can help bridge that time gap, or make that time gap happen, I should say, not bridge it, but make it happen. And it may also give information to some characters who could use that information, but who might not be on the good side. So we'll have to see how that pans out. I don't know yet. So yeah, that's where I am right now. I had hoped to write a lot more in this chapter that I'm currently working on. But because I was so because I was looking so much for this solution to make this time gap happen, I didn't write as much as I had hoped. But that's okay. So JC, if I may call you that, how are you doing? How's your project going? And what are you working on currently? I'd love to hear that. And I wish you a great weekend, by the way. And it's, I mean, creative writing in itself is great, and creative writing, like, my apologies, you guys are not boring. It's just I slept for a long time, but it seems that I'm not quite as rested as I thought I was. But that's fine, that's fine. So it's how should I say that? Creative writing is really an outlet for me. And it's how should I say that? I mean, my characters just usually don't leave me alone. And it's fun. I mean, world building is fun. That's awesome to do. But writing the stories of Terganay, writing the stories of these characters in Terganay, that's just awesome to do, and to be able to do that. And I'm so happy with that. Even though things are not as easy as a few years ago. But you know what? It's a challenge, and it's a challenge I'm here for, and it's a challenge I will always keep on working on. And the fun part is writing this short story and writing the main story. It never feels like the story or the characters are working against me. They really are working with me, and that's a wonderful feeling. I mean, this whole project has gone through several concepts, through several iterations, let me put it that way, not necessarily concepts, but several iterations. And each iteration made it better, and the resulting concept that I have right now is a concept that I am very confident about, and that I feel is the best concept for this particular project. And I mean, I've written other stories in the past. I've written fan fiction as well in various fandoms. But that was always working with a world created by others and never my own world. And when you're writing in your own world, it gives you all the freedom. You're not limited to anything. And that's what I love. That's what I really love. And I mean, I may run into a challenge like I did today with that time gap that I need to create. But that's part of the writing process. That's just one of the challenges. And it's, how shall I say that? It's not, it's not necessarily an impossible hurdle. But yet, I don't feel it is an impossible hurdle at all. It's just one of those things that I need to work through. And that's fine. That's part of it. And it feels more like a puzzle, or rather it feels like a puzzle instead of a hurdle. And the moment it really becomes a hurdle, then I have a problem. But that's what I have the Discord for. Well, not the only reason. I mean, the Discord is, our Fantasy Tavern Discord is a wonderful community of published and unpublished authors. And it always feels so wonderful to be part of that community. And yesterday I told you guys about the name of a certain group, the Divine Speakers. And that's not a name I came up with myself. It's a name that I got from the community, from Dida and Abby, who helped me create a name that was much better fitting. That's perfectly fitting for that particular group, for the group who delivers the justice by the deities. And I got that name because I am part of this community. And that's what I love about it. That's one of the beautiful things of being part of an author community, where you can ask for feedback, where you can search for sparring partners, or just post your ideas and get feedback on that, and post about your hurdles and about your milestones. So yeah, it's fun. JC, you say thanks. We spoke 2 or so months ago. You've 2 writing projects. One is a space saga and the other is a paranormal fantasy. You're in the USA and you understand that characters. Excellent. I vaguely remember. I'm not entirely sure anymore. You over world build, you think, and these days you have to limit yourself. Well, how can I give you, or better, what tip can I give you for that? The best thing, in my experience, from what I notice, is to see what your character needs for world building. Now, there are different levels. One is their direct life. What are they experiencing? What does their room look? What do their clothes look, etc.? And why do they have those clothes? Do they have hemp clothes? Do they have leather clothes? Do they have clothing? Do they have gauze clothing? Do they wear skirts, dresses, pants? And why do they wear that? And why don't they wear anything else? And then you look further into their house, their community, the district they live in, the city they live in, and if you still need the information, you go wider. If you have all that information and you need to, you can dig down deeper to get more about the character itself. But if you can write with the info you already have, then start writing. For example, it's an old experience of mine. I had been writing, and that's and I reached a point where I was surprised that 3 characters hadn't met each other, or rather 2 characters hadn't met a 3rd character in years while they lived in the same city. And I didn't understand that. I was like, how could they not have met each other? What happened there? And then I was in my old hometown, and there are about 200,000 people in my old hometown, I think, if it's not more. And I looked at how my old hometown was built. It's made up. It's one big town now, but it used to be smaller villages, centuries ago, and that grew into one big city. And all of a sudden, I knew why those 2 characters hadn't met that 3rd character anymore, because that 3rd character lived on the other side of the city, and each part of the city, besides, I should say, the hospital, the house for the sick, whatever it is called. I don't have a true name for that yet. And the mage tower, the mage location, they have, in their own parts of the city, they basically have everything they need. They have grocery stores, anything you can think of. So they didn't need to go to the other side of the town, and thus they never met. And I knew that I only found that when I ran into that hurdle, and I did some world building again, basically, or namely, doing the research, going to my being in my old hometown and finding out how that works and how that is built. That's when I did world building again. And I also have moments where I'm not sure who the character is or which character I can use in a certain location. And then I look deeper into that location, like, why is that building there? Why is that group of people living there? How is it built? What exits does it have? What does a certain building have for a view if you look out the window? Things like that. And who are the people who can live there? And then I can find a character I want to work with, or of whom I think I can include in the story, be it a minor character, be it a side character, be it one of the main characters. That's how I find how I work with that. So I don't only world build, I don't only write, but I do it together. I world build when I find that I need more information, and otherwise I'll just keep on writing. I mean, it's awesome to really dig down in the details, really in depth, to get the minutest detail of a process. But if that process is not even mentioned in your story, it's fun to know, but it's not something you need. I mean, it's fine if you have just one thing of that, but if you keep on doing that, then it's fun for you to have as information, but your reader won't benefit from it. Like Brandon Sanderson once said, if you work out one specific thing in your story, one thing until into the minutest detail, then you can get away with everything else, because your readers will think that you worked out everything into that minute detail. I have to be honest, I will still work out things, especially when I know that they are mentioned, and that, well, and not only they are mentioned, but also that the characters, be it the main characters or be it just people on the street, may see parts of that process, for example, or they may, in Tegre, in Silk and Bamboo, there is a ritual where people will see a festival. My apologies. There is a festival where people will see parts of the process of the silk production of several how do I say that? Several types of silk. And during that festival, there are several ways to see that. So I needed to know how these several types of silk were produced, because it's part of that festival. So that's when I dive into the details. But I mean, I have houses that are, I don't know, painted white. I don't care how the paint is made if it's only mentioned that the house is painted white. I mean, paint is ancient. The Neanderthalers had paint, if I'm correct. Cavemen had paints to make all those cave paintings. So I'm not gonna dive into the details. I don't care how that paint was made, because paint is part of the world. Unless I have, for example, a specific painter a painter who needs a specific paint, and who is confronted by the fact that the paint can't be made because certain ingredients aren't there. That's when I will dive into it. Otherwise, I don't care. So that for me is the fine line between keep on world building and starting to write. I mean, I will always go back to my world building when I notice that I reach a hard time in writing, when I notice that I reach a block and I don't quite know why that block is there. Sometimes it's world building, sometimes it's something I need to figure out about my characters. There's always something, like right now, I needed to figure out how to create that time gap between the previous chapter and the next chapter. I knew it had to be there, but I didn't want to just skip the whole time, because that just felt, it didn't feel right. I might decide at a later time that the chapter that I'm working on right now is basically just a filler chapter and not really useful. But I'll see about that later on. But the moment I reach a real block, I will try to figure out why that block is there, why I can't continue writing, and then I'll go back to world building if it's needed. And sometimes it's just fun to create more of your world, and because creating your world can also give you ideas to be able to progress with your story and to be able to progress with your characters. It is one of the things that happened for me for the Tekken Chronicles, and specifically for the series I will also be writing in the future, the Confectioner series. That's a work in progress title. I was inspired to write that series by The Sims 4. I found out that I could do certain things in that and make a how do you say that? Make a story in that, a storyline, and I was like, I can actually use that. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'll have a confectioner, and she can do things. And by the time we're in Tekken Chronicles, she's an Imperial confectioner, and she can make things for certain festivals and things like that. Like in Tekken Chronicles, you will see that really quickly in one of the first few chapters. She will make things for the title release ceremony, for example. But I started, I started world building that whole confectioner idea just for the fun of it, because I felt like it was just a fun thing. And from that fun thing, she wasn't supposed to be a full-blown character with her own storyline and everything. She was just supposed to be a simple character and nothing else. And now she's going to get her own storyline, and even better, she's going to get her own books. And part of it plays before the main series of the Tekken Chronicles, and part of it plays in the same timeline, and you will see snippets of it in the Tekken Chronicles. So there's that. And I'm able to do that because I did all that world building, and I can reference to things that happened in the past with her, and I can let my main characters reference these things because I did that world building, because I included that character that originated just from me playing The Sims 4. And that's also how I use world building. It's so rich. The possibilities are so rich. So always keep on doing that. And JC, you said you remember Sanderson saying something like that. Yeah, like indeed, the example I just said about working out one minute detail, one thing into minute detail, and then everybody will believe that you have worked out everything. Yeah, he said that in one of his lectures. I don't remember which one. It's in his series about writing. I think it has to be in one of his lectures about world building. I think it's relatively in the beginning of his lecture series. Not exactly sure which one. So yeah, that's how I deal with world building and writing. And for me, my characters will start to nag if I spend way too much time in world building. And at the same time, the world building gives me so much to work with, and it gives me so many stories. And sometimes you just need a little snippet of something. You can write a short story for yourself, and you can just use a snippet of it as a flashback or as a memory or things like that in your story. You don't need to include the whole story. You just use that little thing, and that's fine. That's the fun part of it. And at that time, you haven't how should I say that? It's not that you wasted time. In essence, world building is never wasted. But you have to be careful that you're not losing yourself in the world building to the point where you don't start writing. Because you can have a wonderful world, but if you don't start writing, you will never be able to really share it with other people, if that's what you want. Let me put it that way. And that's something that that's quite important. So yeah, that's for me how world building and writing and my characters and things like that work. And like right now, when I was writing this short story, I know I need to check things with the map that I created of Dragon City, and not only Dragon City, the inner cave, the capital, but also the outskirts of Dragon City, everything that's outside of the cave, because the beginning of this short story, well, several chapters of this short story, I should say, takes place outside the capital. It takes place outside that cave. So I need to know that I wrote things correctly and that the time that people need to go from inside the cave to the location where they are in the chapters, that it is realistic or believable, I should say, believable. So I will have to go back to my map and to other details from my world building to see if it will indeed work or if I need to adjust it. At the moment, I think I made it work. Or at the moment, I should say differently, at the moment, I think that what I wrote works and that it is, in fact, correct. But it might turn out different. So we'll see about that. So for now, I think I need to. Yeah, okay. The live stream is still going on normally. Perfect. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm not gonna write anymore. So, like I said earlier, this month, and I might continue after this month. That's something I haven't quite decided upon. I will do creative sessions of 1 hour. And that's it. One creative session during each live stream. Because it seems that my brain is capable of handling that, mostly. And after that, it's just becoming too hard. So, yeah, creative sessions of 1 hour. And that's it. And JC, you say you heard it on Writing Excuses podcast. Yeah, that they talk about that indeed there, and he also tells about it in his lectures on YouTube about his writing advice. He has a whole series of lectures that he does on. I'm at a loss for the university name, but it's a university in the USA, where he gives those lectures every year, and they have recorded the lectures from this year and have posted it all new. So this year's lecture series it's new, but lots of the information is relatively the same. But you know what? Sanderson has his way of telling things. And it's always fun to watch the lectures, or at least I always think it's fun to watch the lectures or hear them if I decide to have it on in the background. So yeah. So what I will do now is send you guys to someone who is also streaming, I think. Let me check that for you. In the meantime, if you'd like, JC, if you'd like to spar or get some feedback on ideas and things like that, feel free to join our Discord. We always are happy to help anyone with writing. Let me put the link in the description again. In the chat again. There it is. If you use this link, I need to, yes, this one. If you use this link, it's also in the description box below. If you use that link, you can join our Discord, and you are free to ask for feedback or a sparring partner. And if you are running into hurdles or you want to celebrate milestones, you're very welcome to do that all. And if you'd like to know if we can give you ideas based on your own world building for a story that you could create or something like that, or a character which you are not certain of, or a character that you were looking for, or something like that, feel free to post it all in the Discord and get feedback from us all. You're very welcome to do that. So let me check if the author I was thinking about is indeed streaming right now. I think she was going to. I think she has a very long stream today. Yes, she's streaming. She's streaming. Perfect. I am going to send you to Shannon Huston, or I will give you the link, because I don't have the option yet to take you all and go to Shannon like you can with Twitch. I might go stream to Twitch as well in the future, and I think I will pick the brains of a few Twitch streamers I know very well, like Mackie and Tish, who was who did the live stream before me. So I'm going to give you the link to Shannon's stream, and be sure to check her out. She is streaming for a long time today. And Jesse, you said, cool, you will look us up on Discord. Excellent. I hope you join us, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from you on Discord. I wish you all a wonderful time with Shannon. She has just started her stream. She's if you join now, you're jumping into a stream of 47 into a sprint of 47 minutes at the moment. So I wish you all a lot of fun, and I hope to see you tomorrow again. Tomorrow I will stream later. I will stream 7 p.m. my time, and if you check my channel, then you will see the time for my stream tomorrow in your time zone. So I wish you all a lot of fun, and I'll see you tomorrow again. Bye bye.